Morning. I'll just start off by saying this. I've seen a lot of crazy shit in 36 years. This was absolutely the craziest. 4:30 this morning, we get a shoplifting call for the Wawa up there for 472. Guy goes into the store, reaches over the counter, snatches a bunch of cigarettes, gets back in his pickup truck, takes off. Deputies spot the truck. They go to stop him. They have a low-speed chase all the way back to his residence. They stick the tires. He keeps driving. He pulls into the driveway. As deputies make announcements for him to come out of the truck, he won't come out. So they go to approach. When they go to approach, thank God they have their shield with them. And as they approach, he fires at them. This round right here, was up in front of my sergeant's face. My sergeant would have took a shot to the head. More shots ring out. One of our new deputies who transferred in from New York, 25-year-old young man, Ethan Thomas. He takes a graze wound to his face. They engage the suspect in a gun battle. They retreat. The suspect barricades himself in the truck and refuses to come out. We try to negotiate with him. Negotiations are not going anywhere. He's telling us to contact President Biden because the president's going to pardon him for everything that he did. Eventually, we try to pin him in with our heavy equipment. We push the truck into the garage, continue to try to negotiate with him. He starts to light fires in the garage, gets up into his attic, drops back down into the house, and eventually the house now, the vehicle that he was in, catches it on fire. It was probably a smoldering fire. I don't know, the fire marshal determined that. And then the entire house becomes engulfed in flames. And for probably 45 minutes, he's up on the second floor going back and forth, coming out to the back porch, telling us that he's going to fight us, that he's not going to surrender. Eventually, the smoke really gets thick, and we're able to punch the porch, the studs that hold the porch up, out. He falls to the ground, and we're able to take him into custody. And the first thing he says to me is, call the president, he's going to pardon me for this. So that's where we're at. The guy is a 30-year employee with the city of DeLand. His family tells us for the past 6 months or so, he's been acting extremely erratic. At the end of the day, my deputies are going home safe. Over stolen packages of cigarettes, I got a deputy who could have been shot and been killed if it wasn't for this piece of equipment that we gave all of our sergeants back in 2021. And then I got a new guy who comes to us from New York, Ethan Thomas, who takes, again, by the grace of God, he's not shot in the head and he's not dead. And one of my lieutenants took glass fragments to the face from the gun battle. So we had 3 deputies that fired. And again, I'm at a loss for words that we could be burying one of my men today, and through the grace of God, we're not. And how he survived that inferno, to be taken into custody, there's somebody sitting on somebody's shoulder today that we're not talking about. Cops dead, deputies dead, suspect dead. It just didn't happen that way, thank God. And I'm grateful for everything that we did. Our negotiators, every piece of equipment that we have, you see it all out here. It's all out here for a reason. That's why we buy this stuff. You hope you never have to use it. We used it, and it was a successful end to a long, long, long night.
Sheriff, after the initial shots, when the deputies responded, were there shots fired later on too?
No. There was only one volley of gunfire, and that's originally when they get him in the driveway and they approach the vehicle. That's the initial gunfight. The other popping that you heard was us firing pepper balls in, and then there was a point in time when the fire was burning, all his ammunition was exploding. He wanted to get into his house because what his family was telling us was he had a lot of ammunition and he had rifles inside of one of the bedrooms. And that was what his whole thing was. I'm not getting out of this truck. I want to get into my house. Well, he did. He was able to get up in the attic and drop down, but he couldn't access those weapons.
So you think if he could have accessed those weapons, this would have gone on?
He stood on the back porch with the house is a complete inferno, telling us, I'm going to fight. I'm not coming down without a fight. So I said, let's take the porch out and let's fight him. And we took the porch out. He fell to the ground. and we took him into custody. But if you can see, and I'm sure some of your air units were up there, the smoke that was filled in that house and the flames, how anybody could survive that without going down for smoke inhalation tells you what the mental state of this guy is. And obviously opening fire on us over a retail theft. He doesn't have an extensive criminal history. Again, he's an employee of the city of DeLand. It's just bizarre, but again, thank the good Lord, all my folks are going home safe today.
You said erratic behavior, like criminal behavior that he, or was it just?
Family said he was acting erratic. We haven't had any calls. We haven't dealt with him. The family was concerned enough that they tried to hide his firearms, but they knew he was carrying either a .357 or a .38 revolver on his person.
So was the family at the house when you guys got here?
Family was at the house when we got here. His 21-year-old son, we were able to evacuate him out because we were in the driveway, and obviously we had a standoff. We weren't sure what was going on. And he was giving us all the information about how he kept walking around saying he had been arrested, I think, for fleeing and eluding earlier this year, and he kept telling his sons that the president was going to pardon him from that charge. And now, after saying, hey, you shot my deputies, and he said, well, don't worry, the president's going to pardon me. Just call him and tell him I'll be pardoned for this.
Do you think there's any drug use in this? I mean, what do you think?
He's not a young guy. He's not young. I mean, he's probably in his 50s, maybe even as old as me. But, is it mental illness? We don't know.
So our photographers had a camera and saw him leaving, and his whole face was covered in just soot. Is that the suspect?
That's him.
Wow.
That's him.
What are the state of his injuries?
He was bit by our dog a couple times because he wouldn't comply even when he was on the ground. He wouldn't take his hands out of his pocket. I think that when they stitch him up and clean him up, he'll be good to go.
Is there any information about him that you can give us, age, name?
We'll get that to you. We'll get all that. Andrew will give you an update on all that. We'll give you the names of the deputies who opened fire. It was Lieutenant Maxwell, Sergeant Jimmy Stone, opened fire. Said Deputy Thomas, who's new to us, he was the one who was wounded.
Was he the most seriously?
Yes.
Is he at the hospital still, or?
He's been discharged. He was treated and discharged. Yeah, we're going to try to get over there and see him. The sergeant, lieutenant, they remained on the scene, running the scene, till we can get the SWAT team out and do what we needed to do.
Hi, Deputy Sheriff Mike Chitwood. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Were you able to evacuate any homeowners?
We were. We were able to evacuate.
Were any of those houses damaged?
No, just the suspect's house. But, again, I can't point out enough, when we request equipment, there's a reason for it. And, I mean, that's a headshot. That stopped a headshot from a .38 or a .357. We're not sure. I don't know if we'll ever recover the gun. Like I said, there's not much of a crime scene left.
Is that a common practice for deputies?
We for years we had shields, but in 2021 we upgraded so that every single sergeant had one of these. So when they were going on scenes or whatever was going to happen, we always knew we had shields out in the field. And just yesterday, the chief was having a discussion about probably it's time to upgrade these things to at least be able to stop a rifle round. But we know for a fact that it clearly stopped, didn't penetrate through, clearly stopped that round that would have definitely killed Sergeant Stone.
Was it the fact that he was fleeing that led them to get out with the shields in the first place?
He wouldn't comply with orders to get out of the car. They had stop stick the car, because you remember we're going from 472 and I-4 out to here. Even though it was low speed, they stop sticked him. They knocked all of his tires out, but he kept riding. And then he pulled into the driveway and he refused to comply. So when it was, okay, we better get up there, it was, hey, we're not going to go up without cover, and we're not going to be up there because why is he refusing to get out of the car? And we knew why as soon as we got up there and tried to open the door when he opened fire on us.
Sheriff, just to be clear, the deputy that got grazed by the bullet bounced off the shield that the sergeant had, or?
I can't answer that. I have no idea. I just noted it was a gun battle in that driveway between us and our suspect.
And he fired from his car?
He fired from inside the car.
This is not something you expect to see in Deltona.
No. To be honest with you, I don't think you expect to see it anywhere. I mean, this is just out of the realm. This is crazy on top of crazy. And to see that guy, we didn't see him. He was on the back porch for a good 15 or 20 minutes. and then the structure he was in caught fire, and you could watch it, and you're watching all this smoke billow out, and you're like, he's dead. There's no way he's alive. He's got to be dead. The smoke is so thick, he's got to have gone down from smoke inhalation. He's dead. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he pops out on the back porch, screaming, the fight's not over yet. And you're like, where is he getting this strength and his ability to fight through this fire? And like I said, even when we knocked the porch legs out and he fell from the second floor, still wasn't going to comply with this. You know, it's just amazing. I mean, it's just amazing. And then, you know, when we got him into custody and the medics are working on him, he's telling me to call Biden because he's going to pardon him for all this.
Archie, how did you get him into custody? What was the movement to actually apprehend him?
We
He
knocked
said he was
the
firing
porch
at
out.
you.
We knocked the porch out where he was standing, and he fell to the ground, and then we were able to get
So
him.
the rest of the house was on fire, so he didn't retreat. Is that what happened?
He wasn't coming down.
So besides the fluid and eluding, he wasn't known to police, right?
Now, well, the folks who work in and around the land, as soon as we saw, you know, when we pulled up the intel on him, knew, oh my God, I know this guy. This guy works for the city of the land in the maintenance section. Oh yeah, yeah. We're working on downloading that, and we'll at least get the initial encounter in the driveway out. So.
Excuse me, how long did it take to actually identify that he was a prior employee of the land for 30 years?
It was sometime during the course of the investigation.
Okay, before everything actually transpired on this end, or
Couldn't
just a bit tag?
couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you.